And we got on. Yay. Hello, everyone. Diana Rankin here. And you can see our little girl in the background there. I have to tell you, she has half a dozen beds, not houses, but she lives in one big house here with us. Maybe not so big, but for her it is. Anyway, she has in the bedroom, for example, she has one of the kitty beds, which is what this was, and this great big doggy bed. And half the time she prefers the little kitty bed. And then out in the great room, she has this big plush bed that she loves. And so sometimes you see her on the floor, sometimes you see her in the bed, and sometimes you see her on the bed, which is my bed. Anyway, welcome. Hello, Juliet. She says, Happy Friday, everyone. We have a question of interest, and I have to tell you, the answer is really wow. I always know I'm working deeper than Diana. I know I'm working with Philip for a couple of reasons, but one of them is simply his syntax is different than mine. So sometimes you notice I stumble over words. But the other thing is, and today is an example of that, he gives answers that I wouldn't have come up with. So this is why I know I'm going into that deeper space, and I'm so grateful. If you want to work with your spirit guide, I don't do the workshop. I used to do a 3-day workshop on that. COVID kind of killed that, and I haven't gotten back into it. Don't know if I will. It takes a lot of energy. But I do have some information on my blog about that, and I also have a video or two out there. So if you want to connect with your spirit guide, I highly recommend it. We're going to get going, and we will answer the question from our viewer, but we'll also get a message from one of my books, The Master's Book of Answers by Phillip. And yes, this is available online at Amazon. It's available through Amazon. And as you know, it's just an oracle book. And so each page has a different message on it. We'll get our message for the week as soon as we finish reading the answer to these questions. My understanding is that before being born, a soul chooses the exact date and time to enter the earth plane, which is the most favorable for the soul's chosen path. These days, however, it is increasingly common for parents and doctors to choose a date for a child's birth, out of medical necessity or simply out of convenience. Does this negatively impact the soul's path in his lifetime? And like I say, the answers, some I think you'll know, and you'll be able to say, well, I already knew that. But I think there's some information in here, at least it was new to me, and it kind of went, wow, I didn't know that. Okay, so here's Philip's answer. You are correct in saying that before being born, a soul chooses the exact date and time to enter the earth plane, which is the most favorable for the soul's chosen path. The original date chosen or the date given to the birth parents may not be the same. This is where we shall begin. So let us continue with the reasons birth dates may change regardless of who makes the changes. I found that sentence interesting, regardless of who makes the changes. I thought, wonder where that's going. First off, the doctor may estimate the incorrect date to begin with. Okay. Or when setting a date to induce labor, the time of birth may be off. Okay. Or the soul may choose to come forth before the date of planned induced labor. And I have to tell you, the person who asked these questions has a relative that had an induced labor date. And guess what? The baby came on her or him, I'm sorry. I think her, but forgive me, I don't recall. But the soul came on that chosen date that they wanted, not the induced labor. I thought that was fascinating, that the person who asked this question. So we go on. Philip says, these are the human side of which we speak. Excuse me. We will speak of the soul side momentarily, But first, we wish to add an additional human case of changing the birth date and how it affects the soul. This will also help you understand what a soul might do when they must change the date of birth. Another human cause can come from the mother. If something causes shock to the mother's body, it can cause the mother to go into labor. This may not be the date the mother or doctors chose. It is the date the soul chose. There are times a date of birth is given to the parents to induce labor to birth the child. It must be said that a soul enters the mother's body any time from conception to hours or even weeks after human birth. I'm going to add here also, there are times, and this is not in the question, which is why Philip didn't address this, but he's addressed it before, which is how I know. There are times that a human birth, that unfortunately the child may not come into, the soul may change their mind, is what I'm saying. And we'll get to what Philip tells us about that. But the soul, well, let me just go ahead and read what Philip says, and I'll see if there is any more I need to add. So when a date is set, the soul may choose an earlier date that is better for them, or they may choose to alter their human journey somewhat, or they may allow another soulmate to have this birth, or they may choose to not enter the body. And that was the last thing I was going to say, that there are reasons a soul may choose not to be born at that time, and that could be a stillbirth, or it could be the baby dies a few days after the birth. And I want to read those again. So when a date is set, the soul may choose an early date that is better for them, or they may choose to alter their human journey somewhat, or they may allow another soulmate to have this birth, or they may choose to not enter the body. In the last case, a new soul or a jumper soul may enter. Now, again, that's not always, because if the baby dies, of course, the soul did not enter. But if the baby lives, this jumper or a new soul or a soulmate may take the birth. Excuse me, let me just get a quick glass of water. I had a allergic reaction to something yesterday. And what happens when I have that is my lips swell up. They're pretty much back to normal, a little bit off. My tongue swells up, my throat gets dry, my whole digestive tract gets thrown off kilter. And I'm still a little dry in the mouth and the throat from yesterday afternoon. It was fine in the morning. Okay. In the last case, where the soul may choose not to enter the body, a new soul or a jumper soul may enter. The new soul is not yet primed for human life. Excuse me. I'm going to try to finish this, if I can. The new soul is not yet primed for human life and may have a most difficult time, often ending human life early. The jumper soul is a human who causes harm and havoc in life. You label them psychologically unsound. There are also times, now my throat will get better, watch. There are also times the soul's guides and teachers will ask the soul to rearrange the original date and time pattern. This can be for multiple reasons, such as the change in the human world. I'm going to tell you what was happening with my throat. Yes, it did have to do with yesterday, but it also had to do with the energy of that jumper soul or souls. That energy didn't want me to tell on them, did it? Okay. And my throat's, it's getting harsh again. We're going to go on anyway. It is always to aid the soul on their human mission. So what Philip is saying, whatever the date is changed, regardless of what the soul chooses to do, it will always help the soul on their human mission. There are also souls who have not yet evolved to the understanding of their mission on earth. To these souls, the date and time of birth have less meaning than for those who come to fulfill their mission. When you ask if it impacts a soul's path in this lifetime if a date is chosen to induce birth, we say yes and no. The soul may choose the parents after the date is chosen. The soul may choose to not enter at that time and choose another time within this pregnancy or a later date year with these parents. Or a soul may choose other parents or to not come at all into earth life. Philip's kind of wrapping up, going over things here. The older the soul, the more wisdom they have in choosing their birth dates and time to enter earth for their chosen path. Pay attention, pay attention. Souls who are unclear about their path will hopefully learn their path while in earth life. Not everyone's path is clear before birth. For those souls who have a clear path, they will find a way to be born into the human life on the exact date and time as they and their soul council planned. I'm going to read that last paragraph. Philip always gives us the most important at the end with that last paragraph. So here we go. Not everyone's path is clear before birth. For those souls who have a clear path, they will find a way to be born into human life on the exact date and time as they and their soul council planned. So, before we come into birth, there is the soul council that you get together with and decide what's going to happen, what's going to take place, what your soul mission is. All right, my old soul sisters and brothers, here we go. I'm hearing right. If you heard right, that's page 27, and that's something we all need to hear. If you heard left, that's page 26, and that's something you need to hear specifically. So the message for all of us, if you see not the beauty within you, how then can you see the beauty around you? If you see not the beauty within you, how then can you see the beauty around you? And there is so much. If you heard left, what is success if not doing what you want? Is it not that you are doing what you want? What is success if not doing what you want? Is it not that you are doing what you want? All right, my friend, those were our messages for this week. Let me say hello here. Hello, Gaida. She says, hello, everyone from Gaida in Woodridge, Illinois, USA. We have a new Pope. Yes, we do. He is from the Chicago area. While I'm not Catholic, I am familiar with the environment in which he grew up. It is rather exciting. I was driving yesterday, listening to the broadcast as he came out on, as the doors opened and he came out and the excitement of all that. And although I'm not Catholic, I'm not religious, I think this is pretty exciting myself. I keep reading headlines, though, that he's an American. He's from America. So he is American in that sense, but he's a pope for the world. But this is interesting that we have a pope born in America, raised in America, in Chicago, which isn't that far from where I am. It's a 5-hour drive. That's close for me. Akila says, hello, family. Hello, Akila. I love that she says, hello, family. Thank you. Gilda says, praying that our new Pope will be down to earth and remember his humble origins. Blessing to all. From what I understand, he is really helpful he spent a lot of time in South America, maybe Central America, I'm not sure. And he's also spent a lot of time in Rome. He grew up in Chicago and then has spent time elsewhere, speaks multiple languages, but is very much for the poor and immigrants to different countries. And so I think he will be, from what I've read or heard. Juliet says, fascinating. Thank you. She's talking about what we just read here with Philip. And Miriam says, hi, Diana. Sorry I'm late for your live. Oh, no sorries. We don't, no need, Miriam. We're just glad you made it at all. And thank you for your beautiful words here. All right, my friends, remember our messages for the week and remember what Phillip is saying. And it's, whenever I teach a workshop, I always say to people, and I say this to a lot of my clients, you can't do this wrong. You mess it up this life, you'll get to fix it up in the next life. But in this life, just love. If we love, that's all we're really being asked to do. Love and enjoy life. Yes, step in if you can to right or wrong. Speak out whatever your soul tells you to do. It may be to sit on the mountaintop and meditate, or it may be to march in the parades. It's up to you. Whatever you are to do, follow your soul's mission. Look at your birthday and the time of birth. That's your soul's mission. If you're hearing the sound of my voice, you are a master in training or a master, but you're certainly an older soul who came in at the exact time you were supposed to. I love you, my friends. Thank you for the love that you send to us. And if you happen to want to send a little healing, we'll take it. We're feeling great today. Well, we're feeling much better today. Let me put it that way. But when I have those allergy reactions, it kind of throws me off for a bit. So thank you. I love you. And Miriam says, love that viewpoint. We can always do it better in this life or the next one. Yes. And Time to Come Up says, thank you, Diane and Phillip. And Akila says, I see you healed. Thank you. I love you. And Akila says, thank you. All right, my friends, until next Friday, I'll see you then. Bye for now. Thank you for the love you accept from us, by the way, and the love you send to the world. And thank you for our love. There she is. Bye for now.